The content outline is your roadmap. This just lets you know what's on the exam. We know we got three domains: 50, 42, 8% people, processes, business, and environment. Right? There's 14 tasks under the people domain. Those of you who've trained with me last year, October, November timeframe, you know we went through this task, domain by domain, task by task, and we know that each question on the exam is related, is mapped back to the exam content outline. So to Chris's point, you are studying for an exam, not for how to be a project manager. However, um, studying for the exam and learning this content will help you be a better project manager. So that's the set you're looking for, is how do I can be a better project manager by using this theory. And that's what it is. It's project management theory, right? Through live experiences and best practices from project management professionals worldwide. That's the PMI, Project Management Associate Institute, and that's what they're giving us, is creating this cohort of project managers to help organizations manage projects better, so they could uh, get a better ROI on their investment. And in any realm like legal, medical, it's the same thing, right? It's the same thing. But our profession is project management. So Chris, you, if you're not using this, I suggest you have it next to you and make sure that you're understanding what PMI wants to test, right? How do you manage conflict? How do you lead people? How do you support team performance? How do you empower team members? Ensure how do you ensure that team members and stakeholders are adequately trained? That's one of your uh, I know for me in the military, and those of you on here who have been in the military, you can't do a job unless you get some training on it. That isn't so in the civilian space, right? You can get in a job and they're like, all right, cool, you're good, unless it's very technical, right? But I don't see project management as something technical. It's just more a compilation of leadership, management skills, and having your acumen to like get things done. If you're good at getting things done and you have a creative brain, you will have success as a project manager, right? But if you're a procrastinator and you don't really work that well with people, you have a hard time, it's probably not the job for you. Or you might want to be a project team member when you get certified, and not put yourself in that leadership position, because you need that. But building a team, all these tasks is what they want: collaborating with stakeholders, define team ground rules, mentor relevant stakeholders, promote team performance. If you've been in a position for 5, 10 years, 15 years, and you've worked on a staff, you know these things already, right? You have a version of how to deal with people, but you just need to refine what you know and align it with what PMI believes you should know when it comes to uh, engaging with people on projects while you're managing projects and you're leading people. And the big takeaway here is servant leadership is the mindset of this exam. That's what's promoted within this content, is that you have to be someone who's a servant leader that's very supportive to your project team members, to vendors, to stakeholders, and your colleagues. That being the functional managers. They make it seem like functional managers and project managers, based off their environment, they might have a little smoke for each other, but that's where this is at. And then going on into processes, it's the same thing. Manage communications, engage stakeholders. There's a process for that. Plan budget, plan schedule, plan and manage quality, plan and manage scope. How do you integrate those project planning items? Managing changes, procurement. This is 17 tasks that you have to understand about project management theory when it comes to having a process. Is it a predictive approach? Is it a hybrid approach, which includes predictive and agile methodology? Or is it just an agile approach based off of the environment? And that is, um, if you guys want to write this down and note this, is that foundational concepts that you have to really spend some time studying and grasp are um, enterprise environmental factors. What's going on in the work environment, internal to the organization and external to the organization. And then operational process assets. Those are your policies, your SOPs, your standards within the organization. And between those two, based off of what's going on in the environment, that's how you need to operate or manage projects as a project manager. That's how you need to deal with people. For example, if you're in a functional organization, we know, those of you who studied this, is that there's an authority, a level there. There's a band of authority you have as a project manager, and that's what the project charter does. It gives you the authority to apply resources, and resources also includes people to the project to get things done. But if you're in a functional environment, you don't own those resources. The functional manager does, right? But if you're in a projectized environment where you have a lot of power and authority, then you will have more access and more authority to apply those resources to the project. And now that's what you have to, once you understand that, then you start working through those questions of how you're dealing with stakeholders, how you're dealing with team members, how you're dealing with vendors, which brings me to the business environment. 8% exam, not a lot of questions. Um, if you're at a state where you're just starting out, I was just having this discussion. I would start studying the people domain first, then go to business environment, then go to processes, because now you're stacking information. You're more likely to grasp the people content better because you've worked in the environment. If you have 5, 10, 15 years, to Kyle's point, um, um, you know, I'm building my confidence, right? And as I progress, I'm stacking it. And the most difficult of the three will be processes because there's so much, right? And you don't know all these processes. So start with people, go to business environments. If you've been in the contract world, you know about some of the contract negotiations, some of the terminology, but it's very straightforward. These questions about the business environment are straightforward, right? It's about business, and that's where you only have 4 tasks that you have to worry about, and then the last part would, the third one would be the process group, the process domain, and then that's where you have to do that heavy work. 50% of the exam, and which overall 50% of the exam is, an agile mindset and a predictive mindset. So you'll have 50% of the questions coming from each one of these domains with a predictive approach, and then half of the other questions coming from an agile hybrid approach with questioning. So, to sum it up before we go to the next thing, if you're just starting out or you're already in midway a study, or you're coming to the end of your study and you have not looked or reviewed the exam content outline, please take a look at it. Spend some time and go down this list. Do I understand how to plan and manage a schedule? Estimate project tasks. Do I know how to do that? Understand, prepare a schedule based on methodology. Like, do you have you grasped this through your study, right? Do you know how to plan and manage scope? Yes, the scope is the work we're gonna do, and we get a chunk, and then we break that down. We based and that scope is derived based off of the stakeholders or the sponsor or the vendor requirements, and we develop the scope, and then we break that down into either if it's predictive, we're breaking it down into a work breakdown structure and into work package so it's manageable, and then we're assigning it, and then we're working through those work packages. Where on the other hand, in the agile world, we're creating a product backlog, and we have epics and story points, and it's a different lexicon on the agile side than on the predictive side. So that's where your challenge is going to be, is just understanding the lexicon terms to help you, so that you know when you see those questions, you could get those answers right on the exam. So the exam content outline is it. I can't stress this enough. And when I hear people say, "Oh, I don't know what to study," that lets me know you have not looked at the exam content outline. That's the first. That's the easy win for me. I was like, "Here, read this." Like, man, Chris, you're a genius. No, I'm not. This is already there. Like, you just. But this is it. If you don't know what to study, the exam content outline will tell you that. And